Shabbat Shalom, Yuladim. Rabbi Josh here. So great to be with you. Until further notice, I have to be here virtually, but I can just see all you guys listening to me just as nicely as you listen in the cafeteria every Friday at school. And don't worry, we're going to all be together again soon. If we were in school, I would have had all week to teach you about the Parsha, but now I only have a few minutes. And as we mentioned last week, this Shabbat, Jews across the world will start studying the third book of the Torah, Vayikra. Oddly enough, very few synagogues in the world will be actually in their own synagogues taking out a Sefer Torah. But as we've learned many times before, so that we can all do the greatest mitzvah that there is, numero uno, mispar echad, pikuach nefesh, guarding our lives and saving other people's lives, we will all be at home studying the Torah. But if you were to look into a Torah scroll and look at the first word of this week's Parsha, Vayikra, where we begin the third book of the Parsha, you would see something very odd about the letters of the Torah. I'm going to share my screen with you now so you can try to see. Here we go. This is what the inside of the Torah looks like. And you see here, we finished the book of Shemot up here, where my arrow is. And then down here, we are starting the third book of the Torah, Vayikra. And here you see that the word Vayikra seems odd, because all of the letters are one size. And here you have a very, very small aleph, which is not the same size as all the other letters. Did the sofer, the scribe, do something wrong here? No, it's exactly the opposite. Every Torah in the world, whether a sofer wrote the Torah in Israel or in America or in Australia or in Europe or in South Africa, every Torah has a small aleph. And if it does not have that small aleph, the Torah is not kosher. If you look at the words here, Yeladim, we will try to understand why. The third book of the Torah, Vayikra, was the one that children used to learn first. And in it, it begins, Vayikra el Moshe vayidaber Hashem elav. That he called out to Moshe. And then Hashem spoke to him. Now, Hashem told Moshe to write down the Torah. He dictated the Torah to him in the Midbar, in the desert. But our rabbis teach us that Moshe was such an anav. He was so humble. He was embarrassed that for the rest of eternity, the whole world would know that Hashem only spoke directly to him. He didn't want to brag about it. He wanted to be humble. And so, even though he had to write what Hashem told him to write, he wrote it with a little aleph, saying, I'm not so important. Okay, he spoke to me, but look, I don't only care about how great and important I am. I care about you. I care about others. I'm going to write it down as a small aleph. Yeladim, when our rabbis talk about this aleph, they like to compare it to a different part of the Tanakh, a different part of the Bible, which is the beginning of the book of Chronicles, Divrei Hayamim. This book is part of the Ketuvim, the last parts of the Jewish Bible, and it goes over the whole history of the Jewish people. I'm going to share my screen again, and I want to show you how that one begins. If you look here, it begins with the beginning of the world, the first person, Adam. And you see that aleph? That aleph here is actually larger than the other words. So the aleph in Vayikra was smaller, but the aleph here is larger. Here we have comparing them. Vayikra with a small aleph, and the beginning of Divrei Hayamim, Chronicles, with the big aleph. Our rabbis like to ask, why in one place a small aleph, and in another place a big aleph? Well, teaches us a very important lesson. What was the difference between Adam, the big aleph, and Moshe, who wrote it with a small aleph? Well, Adam, the first man, he really only cared about himself. Sure, he wanted a partner, a wife, Chava. But once he had that partner, all he decided to care about was becoming better, eating from that tree of knowledge so that he could know more. And then when he was blamed for Hashem, how could you eat from that tree? Adam didn't take responsibility for what he had done and for others. He blamed his wife and said, she made me do it. There is really no instance in the Torah where Adam cares about anyone else but himself. Let's compare that to Moshe. Moshe was embarrassed that the Torah should be talking about him and how he talks to Hashem. So Moshe said, I want to be a leader that doesn't care about just me and showing everyone how great I am. I don't want to be so important. I just want to do my job of caring for others. So if I have to talk about myself, I'm going to do it small. I think this is such an appropriate time. Everything in the Torah is bashert, which means everything happens for a reason. Why is this week's parsha? Because with the coronavirus going around us today, in this really important moment, we have to ask, are we going to be Adam and only care about ourselves? Who cares if I wash my hands? Who cares if I go out and get really close to other people? Who cares if I give a big hug to other people? I'm not going to get it. Or are we going to be like Moshe? I'm just one small person in this world. I have to care about everyone else around me. I'm not going to be a big aleph and only care about me. I'm going to be a small aleph and care about everyone and do our part to make the world a better place. So this Shabbat, when we talk about how interesting this week has been with our parents at the Shabbat table, let's remember that we are all doing our part and that we will continue to do our part. And if we make sure to do what our doctors and our parents and our teachers are telling us to do, then this crisis will be over soon. And I will get to see you in person really, really soon. I sure hope so. Shabbat Shalom to all.